Whoa, that was amazing for sure. Welcome, welcome. We are so glad you're here. This service is being recorded, so you're welcome to change your name if you want to protect your privacy. But we're so glad that you have joined us. We are the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, and you can check out all of our activities, classes, services, opportunities to serve, all on our website. You can find us on Meetup, Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere that you want to be. And you can get copies. You can listen to previous Sunday services if you missed anything. So please check us out. One of the things we like to do is to pay honor to the people who came before us, because everywhere we stand is holy ground. So we acknowledge the indigenous peoples of this land who have lived here since time immemorial. Sacramento is the ancestral tribal home of the Nisenan people. We also honor the Southern Maidu people to the north, the Valley and Plains Miwok people to the south of the American River, and the Patwin Wintun people to the west of the Sacramento River. And it is my pure joy to welcome our senior minister, Reverend Sharon Dunn. She has been our leader and guiding light for these 6 or 7 years now. It seems like she's been there forever because she just belongs in this place. She has a master's in consciousness studies from the Home Institute. So she not only has a wonderful, loving heart, she has an immense grasp on spiritual truth and an ability to communicate it. So I leave you in the wonderful hands of Reverend Sharon.
Oh my goodness, what an introduction. And are we glad to have Ruth back? Woo! Everybody give her a standing ovation or a sitting ovation. I'm telling you, we missed you so much. And I know that sounds like we put a lot of pressure on you for all the responsibility you hold. But you just have a way of producing our Sunday services that is impeccable and shows the quality of excellence. That's not to say we don't goof up, but you don't, which is really wonderful. So for all of us and those watching, we give thanks for our director and our producer and the board president of our board of trustees. So right after she produces this Sunday service, she's got to then show up for our board meeting with an agenda done and this done and that done. This woman is amazing grace. Isn't she? Amazing grace. Funny how you picked your song this morning. Bless you. Oh my goodness, many, many blessings. So how are you, everyone? Let's unmute and say good morning to one another. Carol, it's good to see you, lovey. Good to see you. Linda, we're so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here, and we pray for your well-being.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Carol.
And Delane, put a little light on your face so we can see you.
Good morning.
Good
Morning, everybody.
Kathy.
Oh, Linda. Bless
Hey,
your heart.
Kathy.
Kathy from Kansas.
Hi,
Good
little
morning. Good morning.
Hi, Corey, little yellow
Good
duck.
morning.
Our little yellow duck. So, okay, everyone, let's mute ourselves. And, you know, we're getting closer and closer to our in-person service on August 1st. We'll still be Zooming. So for those who still feel more comfortable being in our virtual sanctuary, so be it. That is welcomed. And we also want to keep that virtual sanctuary open for Kathy from Kansas and Diane from Kansas and Karina from Mexico. So we hope that we have more and more people from all over the world join us virtually. And won't it be lovely to be together in person? So we're going to have our safety rules, and we're going to have as much safety for you as we need to feel comfortable, but we're going to be able to be together. And there's something about that energy in the room that is a little bit different, that is wonderful. So we look forward to August 1st, as far as we know today. Now, every day's a new day, and we check with the CDC and we check with this California government rules. And we know that this Delta virus is having its way for those who are not vaccinated. So we don't know what the rules will be August 1st, but we'll keep you posted. And so far, we're going to be back together. That's all we know. So bless this beautiful Sunday. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad to be here. And we'll get started. Reverend Patricia, our associate minister, did a great job of welcoming us, and she's going to come back as our practitioner of the day, which is an opportunity for us to hear her pray and to hear her beautiful readings and to hear her voice. And you know, we all love that. We all love that. So.
And there is a presence in the room, in this wonderful virtual room that we share, that rings through us like that Tibetan bell, making itself known, vibrating in every cell of our bodies, knowing itself as perfect health, perfect life, as each and every one of us. It is what I am this moment. It is what you are this moment. It is what we are at this moment. And we are the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. We are a family in one, as one. And everything that unfolds from this perfect moment is itself the perfect unfoldment of the one. Every word spoken, every volunteer's help, every loving glance that we share among ourselves, it is always and only the one peeking out of our eyes to see itself as each other. And so we hear exactly what we're needing to hear this morning. Reverend Sharon has that ability to be the gateway to the one that each of us can access in order to know our own wholeness. And we are pulled by this vision of wholeness into the greatest and grandest version of ourselves. And so this day unfolds perfectly. And so it is. And our readings for today, you can follow along on the screen. The recognition of the presence of God or good automatically wipes out any picture of undesirable conditions. For the Spirit of God is a law of elimination and obliteration to everything unlike itself. From the Science of Mind textbook. The highest realization we can have is a recognition of the omnipresence of Spirit. This will set greater possibilities into motion and will automatically provide a better concept of life. Again, from the Science of Mind. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. Ernest Holmes, This Thing Called You. Trying to change physical conditions without changing my consciousness is like trying to change the reflection in a mirror without changing the object causing the reflection. Patricia Diane Cota-Robles. Most people consider the course of events as natural and inevitable. They little know what radical changes are possible through prayer. Paramahansa Yogananda. And from Edward Villon, our spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living, I make conscious use of the principle for a definite purpose, but I must ground that action in a deep inner perception and conviction of the spiritual truth about myself and any condition related to the treatment. Now please join us in a guided meditation by Ricky Byers Beckworth.
We are living in times of a wonderful awakening. And those of us who have been called onto the spiritual path are finding that our purpose in this life is to remember who we truly are and to take the journey back to a life that's filled with that remembrance. Begin this journey now by allowing yourself to take the first step of meditation. Forget everything of the world. Forget your story. Forget your history. Forget the dramas that surround you. Just forget it. Let it all go and leave the shore of the world. Allow yourself to enter into a space of peace. Allow this forgetting to naturally carry you into the eternal peace of your soul. Our journey is to return to this peace. And on that return journey, we need the support of the Supreme Being, the highest, most beautiful being in the universe. Allow yourself right now to absorb the light of God, the peace of God, the warm and sweet love of God into your being. One of the reasons why it's so important to take this support is that God is that one being who never comes into the body. That one being who never forgets the reality of being the soul. The rest of us go on a journey in this world and develop spiritual amnesia. We become locked into the physical, into matter, into form. But God is that one being who remains beyond it, so that when we are ready to take that journey back to our light, when we no longer want to live in the darkness, God is the Supreme Mother, as the Supreme Father, as the friend to humanity, is waiting to guide us on that journey. yourself to sit in this light of God, to be embraced by it, to allow it to awaken your power. In the love of God, our beauty becomes revealed to us. We feel a deep sense of connection, a deep sense of power, a deep sense of support. And to make the journey back to our true self, this support is essential. This companionship is essential. Many people, when they have near-death experiences, experience this warm light of love, the supreme being who knows them better than anyone on the planet. But we don't need to die to experience that. We only need to forget the world temporarily in our meditations, to let it all go as we allow ourselves to enter into peace, to enter into the heart of the most beautiful being in the universe.
My wings are heavy, I could not fly. I was haunted by dreams that were meant to come true. Love was there, I could not see it, till the voice of salvation came shining through you, and you sang, God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. In the sky of my mind were lightning and thunder. I never could trust it would finally be right. The truth in your eyes said, don't worry, don't wonder. You sang me a song that has shattered the glass, and you sang, God is all there is. If your wings are heavy and you cannot fly, you're haunted by dreams that were meant to come true. God is right here, you just have to see it. And the voice of salvation comes shining through. And you say, God is all there is. God is all there will ever be. God is. God is all there will ever be.
I love that. That's a nice chant. God is all there is. God is all there is. So, good morning. Good morning. Oh, that's one of my favorite songs. I remember going to the gym when we go to the gym long ago, way far in the distance. I used to play that while I was on the treadmill so that I didn't think of my body because God is all there is. God is all there ever will be. So, we are in July. Our July theme is pulled by vision, which is wonderful. And our topic for today is free your mind and the rest will follow. Free your mind and the rest will follow. And I'm going to use Emmett Fox's 7 main aspects of God, which I really found relevant to this topic. And in his writing, he says, joy is one of the highest expressions of God's life. Joy is one of the highest expressions of God as life. And today we're going to explore the experience of God, and we do so by freeing our minds. So why don't we start right now together, freeing our minds? What does that mean? That means that you close your calendar, you don't think about tomorrow or after service. We'll be having a board meeting and all are welcome. Or yesterday, or what we're going to do next month. We're just going to be here now, as Ram Dass says. We're going to free our minds of expectation and of all that concerns us, and just open to the 3 points I'm going to talk about today, which is what is God, talk to God, and walk with God. Now, we are spiritual translators, so if the word God doesn't resonate with you for some reason, just go ahead and substitute love for that word and know that I'm going to be using that word a lot today, and that every time I do, think of it as love, because that's what it is. So I have a spiritual principle coming from our Declaration of Principles, which was written by Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of our teaching, The Science of Mind, and the author of the Science of Mind textbook, which is what we use. He's also the author of many, many books, one of which is the book of the month. We have 2 books of the month, but one of them is Can We Talk to God? And I'm thinking if we don't buy any other book or read any other book in the Science of Mind, we can read this one. It's easy reading. It's easy to read, but is the content or the the concepts easy or simple? Let's say yes, but we have to do a few things first, don't we? So we're going to talk about that. Our declaration for today, our principle is we believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people, that's all people, are individualizations of the one Spirit. I was hearing this story about this person that walked into a restaurant and had a spiritual awakening. In that, all of a sudden, this person could only see the spirits of everybody in the restaurant, and it was very crowded. But the spirits were all connected. There was no place where there was a division. And that person that was having the spiritual awakening was never the same, could never see another person without seeing the connection to that person in the oneness of all life. Wouldn't that be the most wonderful thing to witness, so that we never forget that we are all one in this spirit? So what I said to begin with is we might have to do a few things. We might have to remember to do a few things. And one of them is to free our minds. So Ernest Holmes says, "You have not been left alone to fight a losing battle or contend against powers of evil. You have been left alone to discover your real nature. That as an individual, you may consciously unite with the law of life and the presence of good. Just keep right on knocking at the doorway of your consciousness until every no becomes a yes, every negation an affirmation, every fear a faith. You cannot fail if you remain steadfast. Finally, the fetters of bondage will drop from you. You will walk out of your self-imposed prison only to discover that the door was never really locked and the windows were not actually barred. You were bound merely by chains of unbelief." Well, then, we're done here. Good night, folks. I want to bring us back to the reading that Patricia did, where she talked about changing your consciousness. We don't change our consciousness. You know, we want to be mindful of these statements that we make. That you know, for example, we talk about God as universe, but God created universe. God is more than, right? And so consciousness is not something we change because God is changeless. And the consciousness we're referring to, as I say every week now, is God's consciousness. So we're not changing our consciousness. What are we doing? We are responding to consciousness. We are responding to consciousness. I was reading the Can We Talk to God, our book of the month, which I just love. And we want to ask, how does God respond to us? How does God respond to us? Listen to what Ernest Holmes says. But how does it respond? It can respond only by corresponding. I mean, what if we just remember that? It corresponds, and that's how it responds to us. And so, how we're responding is how God is going to correspond. Does this make sense? So, we're not changing our consciousness, but rather responding to it. And what do I say the name of the game of life is? To see how much we can respond to this consciousness so that it corresponds back. It's almost like you show me and I'll show you. You show me more, God, and I know more. You show me no, but I have to open to it, don't I? I have to be a receptor. And you know, we aren't necessarily with our finite minds able to be receptors to the infinite, but we can open to it, can't we? We can open to it, and it is delivered to us in direct proportion of our ability to respond to it. So we can say, I'm ready. I'm yours. Oh, we can say, I dedicate my life to you. My entire life, the sole purpose of my entire life is to respond to you so that I can get that correspondence from my beloved. It's like writing love letters back and forth, isn't it? Only every time you get a love letter back, you get more information to use in our lives. It's a miracle. I'm so excited to hear this and to know this. He goes on to say, it's another way of saying that the infinite intelligence responds to us by the direct impartation of itself through us. It imparts itself. It's wonderful to know that the more receptive we are, the more we are able to live and breathe and have our being in the principles of God. What is principle? We're going to talk about principle in a little bit, but I'll always remember principles, what's true for all. So these principles of God, beauty, love, wisdom, intelligence, abundance, wholeness, all these wonderful principles are ours. It's the principles that we have at hand to live our life. And the fun part about this is that we affect everything else. So if I'm loving, I'm going to affect all of you. And that's a wonderful thing. It also, yeah, let me get the other side of that. On page 65 of this beautiful book, Can We Talk to God? God says, God as Ernest Holmes, if we make ourselves receptive to the idea of love, we become lovable. To the degree that we embody love, we are love. This is why people who love are loved. It does not pay to hate. This is it right here. Hate is a human idea. Hate is a human idea. Love is a divine verity. What is verity? Raise your hand if you know what verity is. Well, I didn't. I had to look that up. And now it's my new word. It means principle. It's a true principle or belief, especially one with fundamental importance. Isn't that the best word ever? So hate is a human idea. Love is a divine verity. If we make ourselves receptive to the ideas of peace, poise, and calm, calling upon these divine realities, we find them flowing through us and we become peaceful, poised, and calm. We know this. Shake your head. We know this. We talk about this every day. We know this. We know how to do it. We're religious scientists. We're practiced. We have spiritual practices every day. We know how to do this. Raise your hand if you sometimes fall on your face and forget. We forget. Why do we forget? Well, we're the great experiment. We're human. So we have to keep our minds stayed on spirit. Isn't there a song like that? I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Okay. I don't know where that came from. That wasn't part of my talk. But anyway, I digress. So the 7 main aspects of God by Emmett Fox. The first and most fundamental thing to realize is that God is not a superior kind of human. Don't we do that? Don't we have to think of God as something we can relate to? Isn't that why it's so important we're finding out to be able to see something that looks like me? You've seen that. We're seeing a lot more diversity, for example, on television. Why? Because we want people to see people that look like them. There's something about seeing someone that looks like me that gives me some kind of comfort. Well, how about we look at every single human being as the spirit divine? Wouldn't that be a new way of looking at things so that I can see myself? Now, sometimes we can't see for ourselves what we can see for others. Have you ever had that happen? Oh, I'm a loving presence. Good God Almighty, I've got you, girl. And then I look in the mirror and go, oh God, your hair. Oh my God, your weight. Oh, you better stop eating all those calories. Wow. Is that what happened? You got gray, didn't you? So sometimes we can see for others what we cannot see for ourselves. So how about we look at God within each person so that we can see ourselves and recognize oneself? So the first aspect, this is what Emmett Fox called. Emmett Fox was a unity minister, a brilliant author. And he says God is life. So the first main aspect of God is life. And that makes sense, right? God is not just living, nor does God give life, but God is life. So we can, I think, look at these bigger concepts like, God is love, God is life, instead of just living or giving life. So realizing, this is good, realizing divine life heals the sick. Why is that? Because if God is life, then anything other than that, in our view, is not God. We humans have wonderful ideas, but they're not always divine ideas. Sometimes they're human ideas, like sickness or dissonance or hate. So God is life. Actually, it's a mixture. This whole idea of joy is the highest expression of God is life, which I mentioned at the beginning, is actually a mixture of principles. So joy is a mixture of life and love. Well, if you've got life and love, you got joy. Joy is one of my favorite principles. It is not an aspect today from Emmett Fox. So I had to throw that in there, that it is a subcategory, if you will. We don't believe that in principle, because in principle, they're all principle. But for this lesson today of diving into Emmett Fox, which I love, we're going to say these are aspects. So joy always has an expansive effect, he says, just as fear has a contracting effect. Let me say that again now, because we have effects. Now, these are EFFECT, effects. Joy always has an expansive effect. Fear has a contracting effect. Okay, can you imagine saying, yes, I can, with a shrinking gesture? Let me try it. Yes, I can. You could not imagine that. No, I can't is where we get a shrinking affect, right? So we're talking about expressing these thoughts. We're talking about if we have our mind stayed on a certain principle, that principle corresponds and we experience it. This is magnificent. I mean, sometimes do you just kind of sit there in kind of a pity pot, and we know what to do, and we're practiced, and we're religious scientists, and we know how to change this situation, condition, circumstance, but we just don't, because we have choice. But if we choose to change our situation and focus on principle, something happens. Something happens scientifically. Realizing divine life heals the sick. Animals usually respond quickly, and the plants very quickly indeed, because they do not have the strong sense of personal egotism that most human beings do. They never make up their minds that they cannot get well or that sickness is sent for a good purpose. I needed this illness. It has changed my life. Neither did they give way to discouragement because they have not been healed faster. That's beautiful. Number two is God is truth. We're talking about Emmett Fox's 7 aspects of God. So we know truth. What does that mean? We've often said, what does that mean? So God is not truthful, but truth itself. And wherever there is truth, there is God. So there are many things which are relatively true at certain times and places, but only God is absolute. So we're talking about the absolute truth. Truth at all times and in all circumstances. This truth does not waver. Now we can waver from the truth. Can we not? But what else can we do? We can get back into knowing and responding. What are we responding to? We're responding to situations, circumstances, and conditions with truth. And then the corresponding power of the presence meets us there. And where that is creativity. That is creation itself. Creation must be met. We must meet creation. We must respond to creation in that field of principle where what is true for all. It does not include hate. It does not include disease. It is good. It is our good, and it is spirit that is good. So I know we know all this. Where I'm going with this is this idea of responding with principle is very important. We can consider it a spiritual practice. And it's so important to know that. I digress into the book again. Can We Talk to God? My little infomercial. By the time this talk is over, you'll be sure to get out that book and put it at your bedside table, because you can just open it anywhere and point, and it will have a great message for you. It's better than tarot cards. So, Ernest Holmes says science, philosophy, intuition, and revelation all must unite in an impersonal effort if truth is to be gained and held. Now, let me say that again. This is a statement of very big importance. Science, philosophy, intuition, and revelation all must unite in an impersonal effort if truth is to be gained and held. No system of thought can stand which denies human experiences. No religion can be vital which separates humanity from divinity, and nor can any science long maintain its position which denies the spontaneous appearance of volition and will. This is proven fact, Scott. This is happening. So we know that when we talk about this every Sunday, we are learning more about it together. It's almost like we're in university, isn't it? We come each week as if we are in university, as if we're in a teaching community, which is what we are. This is a teaching by Ernest Holmes, and he has used every important scripture and philosophy and science to put it together to show you that it all must come together. Religious science is threefold: science, philosophy, and religion. And he speaks of religion as intuition and revelation. in this statement. So it all comes together in such a beautiful way. It's not just one thing we have to do or one thing, but it's also very it's easy. It's not simple, but it's easy. So let's go here. One last thing about truth. If you believe that someone is trying to deceive you, claim that divine truth dwells in the person concerned and is expressed through that person. Now listen to this. If you realize this clearly enough, they will then speak the truth. You see how this works? Because when spirit responds, really, when spirit corresponds, something happens. This thing that we talked about earlier that Reverend Patricia read, changing consciousness. We're not changing consciousness, but there's a shift in consciousness, isn't there? There's a shift in the revelation that we can use this new aspect of consciousness. We can bring it into form. We can experience it. And that's just delicious. Okay, let me get here to the next one. God is love. God is not loving, but love itself. And it would probably be true to say that all of the 7 main aspects, this is the most important one for us. This is the most important one for us. Now, it says here, the most important one for us to practice. And I think about, practicing medicine, practicing music. We're practicing love. Is that wonderful? We're practicing love because even though it seems like we can't sustain it within us, it is sustained within us. It's within us all the time. So when we practice, we get better at it. It's not like we practice and we go find it. It was always there, but we just get better at loving. And Dr. David Bruner, I told you a couple of times last week and weeks before that he poses a question on Facebook every week. And this week his question was, well, actually every day, but I tell you about it every week. So the other day his question was, how do you stay seeped in spirit? How do you stay seeped in God's love? These are the kind of questions that he asks on Facebook, which I love. It's, again, like doing the New York Times puzzle, crossword puzzle. I spend hours thinking about, how do I stay steeped in God's love? And I only know Sharon. And Sharon stays steeped in God's love by monitoring her behavior. Monitoring her behavior. And what does that mean? That means, see, behavior for me is obvious. Behavior helps me to see things that I wouldn't normally see otherwise. If I'm in my head, I'm not necessarily going to be able to explore certain thoughts I'm having, right? I mean, we have to have something that grabs our attention in order for us to attend to it. Is that the way it works for you? Like, I have to be either reminded or something has to, hit me alongside the head, or I have to see a sign. Something has to become obvious to me for something to be obvious to me. And what is better than my behavior? And what is my behavior? But it is backed by my thoughts, which is backed by my beliefs. And so behavior includes speech. Behavior includes deeds. What I do, what I say, how I act, what my attitude is. And so those are clues for me to know where I am believing and living as God's love. And so for me to listen to what I'm saying or listening to the way I'm behaving helps me to choose. Do I like this? Is this God's love? Or do I need to shift something? 9 times out of 10, I need to shift something. But sometimes I can just make a concerted effort to have a certain practice of speaking lovingly. Speaking with loving kindness, for example. Like today, I'm going to speak with loving kindness. And when I make that kind of discipline for myself, when I start to speak otherwise, an alarm goes off. Isn't that wonderful? We can set an alarm, which is setting an intention. Isn't that a wonderful thing? If you want to set an alarm, set an intention, and you will become alarmed when you're not following that intention. I want to write that down because I just made that up and it sounds pretty good to me. I need to go back to that. So, love, love, love. Where there is fear, Emmett Fox says, there cannot be love. Well, wow. Well, wow. So, what if you spend the day trading your fears, trading them in? Kind of like returning a library book. You know, you're just going to return that to the void of nothingness where it originated, because you know it didn't originate in God. So what are you afraid of? What do you think of something right now? Just something, anything. It could be small, it could be a spider, it could be a mother-in-law. Oh, I don't know why I thought those together, but praise God. Sometimes things just pop out of my head. I'm sorry. Wait, let's stop, drop, and pray. So pick something you're afraid of. Trade it in. You're going to trade it in for love. Where there is fear, there cannot be love. The best way to rid yourself of fear is to realize divine love. If you love God more than you love your microbe, your sickness, your grievance, your lack, or your fear, you will be healed. Kaboom. So sometimes it has to be a constant trade-in, doesn't it? But if you set an intention, an alarm will go off. When you're afraid, you will be alarmed. You will be notified. Because why? We respond to God and we get a correspondence back. So practice love every day and watch your thoughts and watch your tongue and watch your deeds, that nothing contrary to love finds expression there. That's Emmett Fox. Beautiful, isn't it? And God is intelligence. The fourth main aspect is God is intelligence. When you clearly realize that this is an intelligent universe, it will make a major difference in your life. Now, Emmett Fox didn't say that this is an intelligent universe that is God. Emmett Fox says there is God, and then there is this intelligent universe that God has created. Do you see this? So sometimes when we're tempted to say, I don't know what the universe is doing to me, I hear this all the time. Oh my goodness, the universe has turned upside down. I don't know what I've done. Oh God, here it is. The universe gave me this. No, it didn't. Human beings have free will to create all the havoc we have going on right now. Aren't we special? I think we are. I think we're quite creative. So those microbes that you're attached to, let them go. It's especially important to realize that God is intelligence. Because sometimes what happens is that people outgrow the childish idea that God is just a magnificent man. I guess we had that, the white beard and in the clouds. And they go to the opposite, and we've done this, go to the opposite extreme and think of God as a blind force like gravity or electricity, don't we? All powerful. But remember that this means that we've lost our sense of the love of the Mother, Father, God. And such an idea is very little better than a subtle form of atheism. If we start to think of God as this scientific power, we have a personal God. If we're not feeling the love of God, then we want to find a way to change that. So I'm looking at Linda, our beautiful Linda. Every time I see a tree, I think of God as Linda. It's just the way it is, because this woman she's a powerful, intuit, mystical beauty. And I just got God bumps, but if you ever are in nature with her, you cannot help but be risen. You cannot help it. She can extrapolate the magic of God through nature like nobody's business, like the Zen Buddhists, because that is Zen Buddhism, is to see God in nature, to see God everywhere, to see spirit. So this is not a God, an impersonal God. This is a personal God. God is not a person in the usual sense of the word. Listen to this. God has every quality of personality except limitation. Isn't that wonderful? God has every aspect of personality except limitation. Whatever you think I am, that I will be to you. And this means that if we attribute to God every quality of an infinite, intelligent, loving personality, God will be just that to us. So we may say that we believe in a personal God. Does that make sense? When I feel the presence, a lot of times I am brought to tears, which I think is why on Sundays sometimes I get all choked up, because I'm talking about a personal God. I'm talking about my personal experience with the divine. I'm talking about something that changes my life every single time I let it. It changes my life every single time I allow it to do so. Wow. So here's a little prayer we can say. Pray several times a week that intelligence will manifest through that person, and you will be surprised to find out how their progress and their. Now listen to this. So what the prayer is, God's intelligence is manifesting through fill in the blank. So I'm going to say, Reverend Patricia, God's intelligence is manifesting through Reverend Patricia. If I just say that, that is a prayer, but what does it do? It is me responding to truth and spirit. It's an invitation, it's an open invitation for spirit then to correspond. We have to do something, folks. God isn't out there making life happen. God is creating creation, certainly, busy, creative, extremely artistic. Look at those little creatures under the ocean, all those colors and different, they blow up and they do all kinds of fantastic things. I just love the creatures that prove God. But if I say that affirmation, if I say that prayer about Reverend Patricia, what am I doing? I'm opening that portal to possibility. And I'm seeing her. I'm seeing God's intelligence manifesting through her. I see God's intelligence manifesting through Delane. I see God's intelligence manifesting through Kathy. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? If I just say that, if I just say, I see God's intelligence working through every cell in Linda's body right now. Every cell. That the intelligence lives and has its being in the nucleus of every cell. And I ignite it right now. I just blast it open for that correspondence to occur. Oh, I could just go on and on about God's intelligence. Let's do the next aspect is God is soul. Now we had a whole month on learning about soul. Remember, the soul of each of us, the individual soul, is our individualization of the one. It's our imprint. It's that part of us that is infinite, never was born and never will die. It is that place that is ever expanding in consciousness, not ever expanding consciousness. We are ever expanding in consciousness. So this fifth aspect of God is soul. Soul is that aspect of God by virtue of which spirit is able to individualize itself. The word individual, I love this, means undivided. Most people seem to think it suggests separateness, but actually, individual means undivided, and God has the power of individualizing itself without, so to speak, breaking itself into parts. You are really an individualization of God, and only God can individualize itself in an infinite number of units of consciousness and yet not be in any way separate, because God is spirit. So can you all say with me, well, not this part. If God is spirit, this part here, I am spirit. I am spirit. And oh my heavens, we may be these little boxes here, but we are connected in the virtual sanctuary. Do you see how this works? What a great example that I'm just making up right here and right now. That we are all here as individuals, but we are together as one in this virtual sanctuary. It's just beautiful. So, God as spirit is the next one. The sixth one, spirit is that which cannot be destroyed or damaged. It is the opposite of matter, that which is not subject to discord or decay. Can we say that again? There is a part of us that is not subject to discord or decay. How about that? That which underlies all outward manifestation, real, unchanging essence or nature, that in which qualities inhere that which constitutes anything that is. So God as spirit is and a very important aspect. And the last one and not the least of one, is that God is principle. And we've already talked about, and you know how I insist and repeat often that principle is true for all. Because I think we use the word principle all the time, and our community knows what it means. Because I'm a little redundant about what it means, which is that what is principle is true for all. So that for Carol Marr, love is love. It's the same for Sharon. For Margie, truth is truth. It's the same for Sharon. For Reverend Patricia, wholeness is wholeness, and it is the same for me. Isn't that wonderful? And she's going to be joy. You know, her son just got married to the most beautiful dimpled beauty that we've ever seen, and she is just full of joy right now. But Anne's joy is Sharon's joy. Isn't that wonderful? These are principles, and they are true for all. So we can say that principle is what God is. And what's nice about God, spirit, is that we call it by many names and we worship it in many ways. But there is and again, this is in the Can We Talk to God? There is this yearning for the beloved in all human beings. It doesn't matter if you're an atheist or agnostic or a Muslim or a Christian or a religious scientist. We have a yearning to know oneself. This divine spark, we're born with it. It is the soul of each of us. It's the soul of every sentient being that calls us home to the Creator. Does this make sense? So we all have it, we all share it, and we're all connected through it as it, which is fantastic. Okay, now let's see, where am I? Okay. So let me finish with Emmett because I just really was fascinated by it. He says in the end, In each of the 7 main aspects is a distinct quality like elements in chemistry. A chemical element, as you know, is just itself and nothing else. Oxygen is an element because there is nothing in it but oxygen. Water, on the other hand, is a compound, a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. There are many attributes of God, such as wisdom, for example, is the perfect balance of intelligence and love. So, do you see where Emmett Fox is taking the aspects, the 7 aspects, and saying that these are standalone aspects? They are a compound. They are not a compound, they're an element. And then if you mix some together, like life, truth, and love, you get a compound. So there's many other attributes. So they're not just these 7 aspects, but many, like he started to say, and I opened today's talk with, joy is truth and life. So that's a compound. So good for Emmett Fox. I thought that was very that was wonderful. I have to mention that, you know, I mention often my prayer partner call because I'm not sure who I would be without my prayer partner call. I hope I encourage you every week to have a prayer partner. I've had this one for, I think we're going on 13 years or something. And oftentimes, because we're cycling together, we're cycling in the divine together. We've come to that place where, as we speak to each other on Thursdays, we come to realize sometimes the same exact prayer request, and I find that very exciting and almost like, are we gonna find it together today? I'm wondering, and we always seem to. And so this week, and I'm sure she won't mind if I spill the beans, but this week we prayed to get our bloated nothingness out of the way, to let go and let God. And what does that mean, our bloated nothingness? Well, what we sometimes do together on our calls is we solve the world's problems. Do you ever do that with a friend? Oh, you got to call your best friend and solve the problems of the world. When the elections were going on, I had to call my friends and go through every single solitary, issue. My opinion was so important. It was imperative that I gave you my opinion. And then, oddly enough, it was really important for me then to judge the opinions of others. Do you ever judge the opinions of others? So we spent quite a while on the phone. And who do we judge the most? Well, right, Doug? Doug says ourselves. Other than ourselves, we judge our family. We judge our children. I find them the most exciting specimens to analyze and dissect. And I like to have my opinions of their behaviors, their choices, and what's going to happen to them, because it hasn't even happened yet. But I am so wise that I can see into the future and propose that if they behave this way, then this is bound to happen. So basically, I'm creating from that tongue of mine, from that speech, from that wrong speech, as the Buddhists would say. Right speech. It does not sound like that. So we decided, after a while, we could, because we're practiced, we could hear ourselves, and we had a good laugh over what our conversation, where our conversation measured in consciousness. And we decided, wow, we know what our prayer request is. Why don't we let go and let God? Why don't we give our children over to the God they have that is not us? Doggone it. Like they have a God and it's not me. And that kind of shuts you right up. I don't know if you have a friend that's annoying you and you can say, she has a God and it's not me. But if we can see the God in that person, then we get to that place of responding and corresponding. So one thing that is really important, or was important for us in our prayers this week, was to let go and let God. And how many times a day wouldn't that serve us wisely? So our second point is to talk to God, and I'm going to talk briefly as we come to the last two points the key points I want to make today is that spiritual mind treatment is what we call prayer. I think one of the things that is the most concerning for people who are joining us for the first time or who are brand new to our teaching is, what in the world are they doing with prayer? And then once they start hearing our method of praying, they stop praying themselves because they don't know how to do it. Well, there's 5 steps and I can't remember which step comes first. Is it the fourth step or the third? Is that the way you say the first step and the second step? Or is it if I don't say the fourth, if I don't say it this way, will it work? Oh my goodness. The thing about spiritual mind treatment, which is our 5-step affirmative prayer, is that it doesn't matter what you say. It matters whether you believe in what you're saying. It matters that you have an emotion behind it, a conviction, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're going to teach you our way, certainly, and there's a method to our madness, but whatever you do, don't stop praying, because praying is talking to God. And that is responding to God, to spirit, to the power of the presence, so that it corresponds. You're writing a love letter. You are speaking a love letter to your very creator. You're sending an invitation for tea. You're sending an invitation for a visit, for a spectacular sharing of ideas that you would have never thought of on your own, ever in a million years, but then are revealed to you because why? You said, show me, show me, show me how to act, show me how to speak, show me how, and show me means that I monitor my behavior, and love feels good. And so my body's going to feel good because my body interprets my behavior. It's the information. And so if I'm feeling really good, guess what? I'm feeling really God. And that is prayer. That is spiritual mind treatment. This using spiritual mind treatment frees our mind. See, when we're speaking about God, it's kind of hard to think about hate. It's kind of hard to judge our children or be snarky. I mean, I haven't done it. I've heard of people doing spiritual mind treatments and putting in a couple of profane words. I kind of been shocked by that. But hey, if that's the passion that you speak your word, then, I am a pastor with a potty mouth. I've been known to use a word or two, but I haven't quite got to be using them in my spiritual mind treatments. But if I am praying, I am not saying anything other than good. Okay. So one thing I notice on my prayer partner calls is we can talk smack, for a good 45 minutes. And then I can get myself all worked up. I can feel it in my body, And my prayer partner loves me no matter what I say, thank God. That's a wonderful thing. But when I start to pray, something shifts. All of that bloated nothingness moves out of the way. And something powerful happens. And that powerful thing that's happening is God's correspondence. And when God is corresponding to me and anyone I'm praying with or for, something very powerful happens. An expansive use of consciousness is at hand. Physical, finite problems disappear. Illnesses are healed. Bank accounts fill up. The most exciting of all is that all the principles that we know about God, beauty, wisdom, intelligence, wholeness, love, truth, suddenly becomes our experience. We're not talking about all this just to talk intellectually, are we? We're talking about this to feel better. We're talking about this to help others to feel better. We're talking about this to open to God's highest idea of how to take care of our planet and our elephants and each other, how we're going to feed the children and stop wars. Stephanie has her elephant. Welcome, honey. It's so good to see you. So prayer is absolutely the free your mind and the rest will follow, which is our topic today. It's a great tool. And the last one today, which is short and sweet, is the walk with God. Now, what is walk with God? I call that spiritual practice. Isn't that what we're doing? We are literally making a conscious intention, an intention to bring spiritual principle into our reality. There's nothing better than that. There is nothing better than to bring love into reality, wholeness into reality. I love, these medical miracles where the doctor's like, I don't understand why your scans are clear. I don't understand. It's impossible. It doesn't fit the statistics. Well, guess what? We are not a statistic. We are a child of the Mother, Father, God. We have superpowers. We have supernatural ability, but we can't be asleep. We cannot sleepwalk and think that we're awake, and we have to be awake. A couple of things about God. We have to be quiet because it's a wee small voice, and we have to be awake. So I'm going to ask that you join me this week in your daily practice. This can be your daily practice. So the main attributes of God is life, love, truth, reality, wisdom, consciousness, soul, spirit, intelligence, omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience, universal principles, or intuition. So upon awakening in the morning, I turn my consciousness toward the presence of the Mother, Father, God. Just good morning. Good morning, God. Let's not make this difficult. Let's not make this difficult. And you know how we always say you don't use the you pronoun because that's a sense of separateness. This is not what that means. This is personalizing. This is bringing your awareness into your personal God, the one sleeping next to you, or in between is Patricia and Doug. It would be in between. Did you know God was sleeping with you? I don't know where I'm going here. Let's go back to this walk with God. It doesn't say sleep with God, does it? Oh my goodness. I am making myself laugh this morning. I may have way too much fun with y'all on Sunday morning. So upon awakening, turn your consciousness towards the presence of the Mother, Father, God, the love I am, the individual I am, and as I was created. And I am filled with gratitude for what God has in mind for me today. Okay, so do it in your own words. Good morning, God. It's kind of, I'm getting Robin Williams. Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, God. What do you have in mind for me today? What do you have in mind for me today? Because you're responding and you're going to get a love letter back. And then focus on one, two, or three aspects or principles or gifts of God. Focus on life, focus on love, focus on truth, focus on wholeness, whatever. And then write at the end of the day where this has shown up in your life, and make a list of spiritually, physically, emotionally, socially, and mentally. Did it, because maybe you didn't feel it spiritually, but oh my gosh, maybe you felt it socially, because guess what happened when I went to that party? Guess what happened to me? And maybe mentally, boy, I was in a funk. Guess what happened to me by the end of the day? You know, emotionally, boy, I was depressed. I couldn't get out of bed. You know, well, look what happened to me by the end of the day. You see where we're going here? Physically, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have trimmed that entire tree all by myself. I should have asked the gardener to do it. And by the end of the day, physically, I'm going to feel a lot better. So let's affirm together. This is our affirmation, and I know that we're going to hear about our affirmation, but will you say this with me to end this today? Will you say, I allow spirit to fill me to overflow, revealing divine truth? And so it is. Let us pray. Ah, goodness sakes. I am so, so happy to know, so joy filled to know God is life. So where there is life, there is God, and God is love. And where there is love, there is God. And God is intelligence, God is wisdom, joy, abundance. All that is good. And so I know as I unify with the one that I am, that I am the qualities that I intend, and that God corresponds. So I am love and God is love as me. I know that for each of us, and I love that we are connected in the spirit, in the soul of God. We're connected in our souls to each other and to this beautiful spirit. So I now declare, affirm, and appreciate the use of the power of the presence. I use it for what? For good. I use it for good in the world. I use it for good on the planet. I use it for good in my body. I use it for good in my friendships, in my family, in my spiritual community. And what happens? We create a world that works for everyone. And I respond to that, and I am answered. My prayers are answered. Prayer is always, always answered. And so what a powerful, powerful God. And I know then and claim that this God expands our community. That we are this loving presence that is like a lighthouse, that people from all over the world can see us lit up and come and join us to celebrate the one, to worship in the way we celebrate this beautiful spirit, working in and as all that we are, all that we have, all that we're doing, I am so grateful that this prayer is answered. I release my word into the law that makes it so. And together we say, and so it is. Hallelujah. Ashe. Shalom. Yippee.
Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone. Let me be an instrument, guided by an heaven sent. May these grapes of pain ferment, alchemize to love's content, ever be a sacrament, knowing God is my intent. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Rolling like a thundercloud, let me live my love out loud, standing for mankind and proud, baptized in a holy shroud. Peace be still and know me now. God is in all I God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. Oh God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Same like a kiss seals the spirit I become. Knowing what I'm here for, growing on to distant shore. Oh, how you astound me with your praise. God in everyone, spinning like a prayer field. Let me know your nothing like a kiss seals the spirit I've become. Oh infinite God in everyone. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone.
Wow. Okay. And here's our offering time. And what we're offering are 3 wonderful opportunities to give. And one is through our PayPal or credit card on our website, as is shown on the screen, or you can mail a personal check to our address, as shown on the screen as well. And then we have Amazon Smile. And if you go there and put us in as your favorite charity to donate to, we appreciate that very much, because we get some residuals back from that, some percentage, and we appreciate that. Thank you. And now, if you remain silent and say with me the affirmation and take it with you all week and keep it in your heart. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever-expanding infinite good. And so it is. Hey, here's the latest news. And we have Busy Hands, Warm Hearts twice a month on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month at 9:30 a.m. And you bring your own drink, beverage you like to drink, and your craft project. And if you have any questions, call Reverend Patricia. It's a lot of fun. You can just bring your talent and we have fun and we share, and it's beautiful. Her place is wonderful. It's outside in nature. So do come, and we would appreciate your being there and sharing. And then, oh boy, look at this. We're coming home August 1st. Yay! And the vibration of the building will be expanding and blowing up in love, in pure love. And so come and join us. And I don't know if you want to hug or whatever, but we'll be together, we'll share, and we'll bless each other on August 1st. So thank you. And 10 o'clock is the blessing. 10:30 is the service. And now, please, we have our prayer request through chat on the screen and via our website. And if you have one, we love to pray over you and anything that you need, and it gets answered. And now, for this, here's, we'll say together, mute it. I allow the Spirit to fill me, to overflow, revealing divine truth. And that's it. That's so it is. And now for our benediction. And giving thanks for this wonderful service today and the beautiful message from River Sharon and everybody's talents in this production and this direction of our wonderful Ruth Hall. We thank and we give all of you a blessing, and we love you, and we're so grateful you're here. And please join us for Shout Fellowship. It will not be recorded. And and enjoy our closing song. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit. Thank you